Hello. My name is Mark. And I would like to share a story with you. A story about my love life. A beautiful woman named Benita. And the hard lessons I learned about love that changed me. One nice evening, after a stressful week of work, I decided to go and chill at my favorite bar. I was there for a cold drink of beer. The bar was full of noise, with people talking and loud music playing from the speakers. And in the middle of all the fun, I noticed a very beautiful lady named Benita. She stood out like a bright star in the night, as she was laughing and glowing. She looked like someone that shouldn't be in that kind of place. And her beauty was so captivating that I felt like I should speak to her. I called her, and to my surprise, she came with a smile, and sat down next to me. We talked, laughed, and connected in a way that I had not expected. It was that night I later learned Benita was a prostitute. I was very surprised, but despite her job, I began to see the beauty of her heart. After our initial meeting that night, I began seeing Benita more regularly, almost more than once a week. It wasn't just about the nights spent at the bar anymore. Our encounters grew into dinner dates and outings. I had her contracted initially for what's known as the girlfriend experience, and Benita was exceptionally good at it. She treated me so kindly, and with such care that I found myself deeply attached to her. Possibly even in love. She had a way of making me feel important, listened to, and cared for. Sometimes, I caught myself wondering if her feelings might be real or if this was just her professionalism shining through. As it turned out, she was fulfilling the role I asked for, but she was brilliant at her job. Yet, I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something more between us, something more genuine, like maybe it could have been love. Over the next couple of weeks, I and Benita spent more time together, and my feelings for her became even stronger. During one of our moments together, curiosity got the better of me, and I asked Benita about how she started working as a prostitute. It was a delicate topic, but I felt that understanding her choice would help me connect with her on a deeper level. Benita looked at me with honest eyes and explained that life had been really tough for her and her siblings. They needed someone to take care of them, and she was the only one who could do it. When I learned that she took care of her siblings with the money she earned from the prostitution job, I was very impressed with her sense of responsibility towards her family. Even though I knew Benita's job was complicated, I found myself falling deeply in love with her. I understood that her work was about making her clients happy, but my feelings for her grew stronger than just friendship, almost like in a fairy tale. One day, I offered to help Benita start a new business, hoping it might give her a better life. But Benita cherished her independence too much and refused my offer. She enjoyed her life as it was. And not even my love could persuade her to change. This was very difficult for me, but I respected her choice. But there was something bothering me a lot. I knew Benita spent time with other people because of her job, and this made me feel really jealous. It's like having a favorite special place where you always go to think or spend time alone, and suddenly you see other people hanging out there too. I didn't like these feelings of envy because they made me feel sad and worried. I wanted to make Benita happy, so I bought her many gifts and took her on trips to fun places, hoping that would make our bond stronger. I spent a lot of money trying to show her how much I cared. But inside me, I was struggling because I knew our friendship might not turn into the forever kind of love I had hoped for. Even though she was wonderful, and made me very happy in many ways, it was hard for me to stop feeling jealous and worried. This mix of happy and tough feelings was new to me, and I didn't know what to do with them. I cared about Benita so much, but I was also trying to understand that her job was a big part of her life. This was hard for me, but I tried my best to be a good friend to her. One day, something happened that changed everything between us. Benita told me she was pregnant. At first, this news made me very worried. Because Benita met many people through her job, I wasn't sure if the baby was mine. I thought maybe one of her other clients could be the father. I felt very confused, but despite these worries, I cared deeply for Benita, and I knew I had to find out if I was the father of the baby. After some discussions with Benita, she agreed to a paternity test. Waiting for the results of the paternity test was one of the longest periods of my life. When the result finally came, it showed that I was indeed the father of the baby. This news made all my worries disappear, and I felt a big relief. Now, I was just excited and really wanted to take care of Benita and our baby. I was hoping that maybe having our baby might help Benita think about living a simpler life. I loved her very much, and now, I wanted to be there for her and our child. I was overjoyed at the thought of us becoming parents, and secretly hoped that this new life might encourage her to settle down. However, even during her pregnancy, Benita continued to live as she always had, valuing her freedom above all else. I wanted her to dress more modestly, and to stay at home more, especially since I traveled a lot for work. But she still loved going out in very tight micromini skirts, and enjoying nights out with her female friends. I felt more and more worried about our future as a family. Benita liked her freedom and didn't want to change her way of living, even though we were going to have a baby soon. As Benita's pregnancy advanced, and we started discussing marriage more seriously, my mother became more curious about her. One quiet evening, while I was having dinner at my mother's house, my mother started asking more about Benita's background. She wanted to know where she came from, what her family was like, and what her parents did. I understood that she was asking these questions because she cared about my future and wanted to make sure I was making a wise choice. But I found myself in a difficult position. I knew telling her about Benita's past lifestyle as a prostitute might lead her to strongly disapprove of our relationship. My mother might worry or insist that I reconsider my decisions, which could strain my relationship with Benita. So, I decided to focus on the qualities in Benita that I admired most. I told my mother that Benita had a tough life, and that she had been the main support for her siblings for many years, doing everything possible to take care of them. I told her how strong and caring Benita was, and I carefully avoided mentioning to her how Benita earned her living as a prostitute. I was hoping to paint a picture of Benita's only best qualities, without lying to my mother outrightly. But I could see in my mother's eyes that she sensed I was holding back some details, but then she didn't push me further. She trusted my judgment, but I could feel a hint of her ongoing concern. We eventually got married in a simple but beautiful ceremony. It was a joyful day, but I was very aware of the complexity of the commitment we were making. The first year after Benita and I got married was peaceful. Benita had already stopped working as a prostitute and focused on taking care of our new baby. I felt proud and relieved, thinking we were finally on our way to the stable and happy family life I had always wanted. But things started to change when money became tight. My job as an electrical engineer usually took me to different states, but the work was becoming less steady, and sometimes I didn't get paid on time. This caused a lot of stress at home. As our financial situation worsened, I noticed a change in Benita. Benita began going out more often. Whenever I was away on work trips, Benita began to spend more time out of the house, and started going to clubs at night with her friends, while I was away. At first, she said she was trying to relax. Later, she told me she was trying to find business opportunities to help with our money problems. I wanted to believe her because I knew we needed the money, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to it. I started getting very concerned because Benita's night out became more common, and the way she dressed and acted began to remind me of her life before we got married. It worried me a lot. So, one evening, when I came back from a long work trip, I decided it was time to talk to her about it. I told Benita how much her behavior was worrying me, and that it seemed like she was falling back into her old ways. Benita defended herself by saying she was just trying to help our family by meeting people who could give her business advice or opportunities. She told me she was trying to make ends meet since I wasn't always home, and the bills were piling up. She was adamant that she wasn't doing anything wrong because it was for our family. Her words made sense in a way, and I wanted to believe her. Yet, something in my gut told me it wasn't just networking she was doing. The late nights, the way she dressed, and her increasingly distant attitude pointed to a return to her old ways. This wasn't the life I had hoped for us, and it wasn't the environment I wanted for our child to grow up in. Seeing Benita change back to her old self under the pressure of our financial struggles made me realize that my hopes of a good marriage with her might have been too optimistic. And as the years rolled by, it became clear that our marriage wasn't turning into the happy story I had hoped for. 3 years after our wedding, Benita's lifestyle hadn't changed much. She continued to live as if she were still single. She was always going out late. Whenever I was away on work, some neighbors would call to tell me that they had seen Benita out late at night, and that she left our 3-year-old child with her sister almost every night. It was very embarrassing anytime I heard such things. It really broke my heart. I had hoped that becoming a mother would bring a new sense of responsibility to Benita, but it hasn't changed anything at all. She was not taking care of our child the way a parent should when I went for work. Every time I leave home, I worry endlessly about our child, and also about the risks Benita's behavior could bring into our lives. It is an heavy burden on my mind, making it hard for me to concentrate at work or fully relax at home. I can't sleep at night anymore. One of my biggest fears is the risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases like HIV and AIDS from her. Even though we're still married, in my heart, it feels like we've been apart for a long time. Now it is clear something has to change. I have to make a decision, not just for myself, but for my child's future, because I want the best for my child. Should I continue in this cycle of worry and unhappiness, or is it time for me to seek a new path? I don't know what to do. This is a very, very difficult situation for me.